Right, and a very good evening to you. Many thanks indeed for joining us. This is Easy Friday. On this, the first day of September 2023. 122 days left in the year. Now, about a week ago, exactly 7 days ago, the nation was hit by a blackout, and you'll have to wait a bit longer to know the cause of that blackout. While Nyayo House still remains a crime scene, and CS Kithure Kindiki vows to crush extortionists for those seeking passports. We also have news from the scales of justice, plenty to speak about. What about those electric motorcycles? More details on the way. First things first, let's have a look at what I love to call a bird's view of Easy Friday tonight. These are the highlights. Streamlining of the IEBC at the top of the National Dialogue Committee's agenda as members of the public are asked to submit their views. The government launches another round of registering eligible persons for the monthly cash transfer program Inua Jamii. And a newly posted intern teacher in Muranga beaten to death after he's mistaken for a criminal. All right, my name is John Kago, riding solo tonight. Let's get down to business. And the newly introduced electric motorcycles will retail at a market price of 160,000 shillings compared to the initially announced price of 270,000 shillings. Now, President William Ruto, while launching the e-mobility program in Mombasa, further announced a reduction in interest charged on the electric motorcycles for those who buy on credit from 60% to 10%. Zainab Said reports. The details of that particular story is still on the way and still staying in Mombasa. President William Ruto has signed the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Bill 2023 into law. The new law will help address deficiencies limiting the fight against money laundering and terrorism here in the country. The president also signed into law the Climate Change Amendment Bill, providing for the regulation of the carbon markets ahead of the Africa Climate Summit next week.
The new stipulations in the anti-money laundering will allow for the surrendering of a fugitive criminal who consents to be extradited to a requesting state. It will also grant the Financial Reporting Center operational independence by excluding it from the definition of state corporation. The law further includes the laundering of the proceeds of corruption under the definition of economic crime and allows the Central Bank of Kenya to supervise financial institutions and agents of reporting institutions. Meanwhile, the president also assented to the Climate Change Amendment Bill. The new law, signed days before the Africa Climate Summit, amends the Climate Act of 2016, providing for the regulation of the carbon markets, besides enhancing response to climate change. In the meantime, President William Ruto has said that Kenya is keen on nurturing mutually beneficial ties with countries across the world. The head of state spoke when he received the credentials from the newly appointed ambassadors to Kenya, who included the UK High Commissioner Neil Wigan, Martin Goga of Rwanda, Nicole Adamkova of Czech Republic, among others.
All right, now our business tycoon, Jason Rai, has been slapped with a 500 million shillings compensation to pay Butali Sugar Limited for damages. A commercial court judge, Alfred Mabea, while issuing that particular ruling, also said the amount will attract interest at the rate of 12% per annum until full payment. Now, separately, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has filed an appeal challenging the decision to acquit Embakasi West Member of Parliament on charges of misusing his gun in the shooting of popular DJ Evolve. More details in the Scales of Justice segment.
Businessman Jaswant Rai will now have to part with 507,799,607 shillings payable to Butali Sugar Limited following a verdict by the Commercial and Tax Division Court, bringing to an end a 15-year legal battle between the Rai-owned West Sugar Kenya Company and Butali Sugar Limited. In a summary judgment delivered virtually, Justice Alfred Mabea said Butali Sugar Mills Limited was entitled to damages after proving its case on balance of probabilities. The judge further ordered West Sugar Company Limited and Kenya Sugar Board to pay Butali Sugar Limited the cost of the suit. In the case filed on March 30th, 2007, Butali Sugar sued West Kenya for 500 million shillings in damages, accusing it of illegally interfering with its operations, causing huge losses. Separately, Embakasi East MP Babu Owino is not out of the woods yet. This is after the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution appealed the entire judgment, citing 6 grounds for appeal. In the case filed at the High Court by Acting Assistant Director of Public Prosecution Dorcas Rugut, the DPP is seeking a conviction on the grounds the magistrate erred in law and in fact by failing to consider the credible and cogent evidence by witnesses. Finding the ballistic expert report was inconclusive, finding there was no evidence of the victim having sustained gunshot wounds, and finding the respondent did not intend to shoot the victim. Finally, Justice Mugure Thande of the High Court has ordered petitioner Eliud Matindi challenging the constitutionality of pay increments to state officers to serve the parties involved with the petition. The respondents will have until 28th of September to file their responses before the matter is mentioned on the 5th of October for directions. Michael Mondiga for Easy Friday.
All right, a quick correction to what I mentioned a bit earlier, a slip of the tongue. It's Embakasi East Member of Parliament and not West. Moving on, now Kenyans will have to wait a little bit longer to know the cause of last week's nationwide blackout that left the country in darkness for close to 24 hours. This is after Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chilchil told members of Parliament that the 15 engineers who are currently investigating the matter are yet to establish the cause or who could have been behind that particular blackout. And as Abdiaziz Hashim reports, the Cabinet Secretary says heads will roll within the energy sector, even as far as sanctioning the regulators that may have contributed to the power outage.
Kenyans are still reeling from last week's nationwide blackout witnessed in most parts of the country. The outage caused confusion in major facilities like JKIA, public hospitals, and businesses that rely on power to operate. However, the relevant power producers and distributors under the Ministry of Energy are yet to establish the cause of the power outage if today's events are anything to go by.
At Olkaria Suswa substation, looking at the logs, we've asked all the logs to be provided from the suspect areas. We're looking at comparing the events and when they happened to be able to zero into what triggered the first event that caused the shutdown.
So it will be very interesting music to our ears that the same people that we think are a burden to us are also responsible for causing the blackout.
Speaking before the National Assembly's Energy Committee, the Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir was hard-pressed to reveal the cause of the blackout and who was involved in the incident.
Waziri, is it that through KPLC we have incompetent engineers? Because this brings a worry to me.
We've got about 50 engineers working from Suswa together, from all the different plants. They work in their cohorts as Kengen, Ketraco. They work together to harmonize the data to identify what triggered first.
Initially, power producer Lake Turkana Wind Power and power utility company Kenya Power KPLC exchanged online accusation over Friday's nationwide blackout.
You already accused Lake Turkana. And for this committee, Lake Turkana is not in very good books.
So the sanction may not just be on individuals who should take responsibility when we get to the bottom of this, but it could go further to the regulator sanctioning in line with the licensing and they act the challenge that has befallen the country, or that befell the country because of that challenge.
This comes as Road and Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen fired Alex Gitari, the Managing Director of the Kenya Airports Authority, and Fred Odao, the General Manager of Project and Engineering Services, due to JKI's embarrassing power outage. The Watchdog Committee has tasked the Ministry of Energy to table a full report before them on the 13th of this month as Kenyans wait with bated breath to know what or who caused the nationwide blackout last week. Abdiaziz Hashim from Parliament Buildings for Easy Friday.
All right, now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, for the second day in a row, pitched tent at Nyayo House as government moves to eliminate the rot in the process of issuance of passports. In his impromptu visit, the CS maintained he will rid Nyayo House of cartels extorting Kenyans. And as Simone Kipnusu reports tonight, Professor Kindiki maintained detectives will not tire in stamping out graft at that particular institution.
Barely 24 hours after his last visit, the Interior Cabinet Secretary was back to Nyayo House. It was yet another surprise visit for employees at the institution, as he moved around to ensure Kenyans were receiving services barely a day after he read the riot act to staff colluding to frustrate Kenyans in acquisition of the crucial travel document.
We will make sure that they don't succeed. And the same energy, the same commitment, the same consistency we have employed in dealing with other long-standing security challenges, we'll apply the same energy, the same vigor in the fight against cartels and corrupt people who have been trying to use their space to frustrate the people of Kenya.
Kindiki pledged to continue making impromptu visits to ensure cartels do not thrive and sanity is restored.
We are going to make it our business to come here almost every other day until the reforms and the changes we intend to see here are not only achieved but also sustained.
At the same time, he maintained his ministry will work to clear the backlog in production of passport in the next 2 weeks. During the tour, the CS ordered the creation of a special desk to serve lactating and expectant mothers.
Because you cannot have in a queue a mother who is breastfeeding or a mother who has a 1-year-old who is in a queue where adults are, even from purposes of public health. So we are making so many changes, and for me, I'm happy. So far, so good.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
All right, now you can now send your views to the bipartisan committee through its technical committee. Now, the committee today invited submissions of memorandum from the public for the next 10 days on the 5 key issues before that particular committee. Gladys Mungai has more details on this.
The 10-member bipartisan committee on Friday embarked on public participation exercise, inviting Kenyans to submit their views on 5 issues before the committee. The call coming barely 48 hours after the Senate in a special sitting on Tuesday endorsed the establishment of the committee. The committee says the public can now present written submissions via email, social media, or drop them physically at their offices.
The announcement for receipt of memoranda from stakeholders and from Kenyans is already out, and we do expect that in the next few days, Kenyans will be submitting their memoranda to the National Dialogue Committee. Our technical team and our secretariat will be working the whole of next week to allow them time to receive this memoranda from the members of the public, as they also put together the issues as prioritized for discussion by the National Dialogue Committee that will be reconvening again on the 11th of September.
We will not shy away from receiving any memoranda, but only that we will have to interrogate, and the technical teams will be able to interrogate the memoranda as received. And then we'll be able to see as a committee what to do with those memoranda. You have seen other fora where people are saying there's a constitutional moment. These are Kenyans talking, all right? And others are saying their things. We are a collective as a nation.
In its sittings, the committee will prioritize streamlining of the electoral body IEBC and auditing of the service.
Issue of IEBC, Kenyans understanding the urgency of that matter, the issues to do with outstanding constitutional issues under Article 43 of the Constitution, the issue of the political parties' management in the country.
If you look at it, IBC is number 2, so that we look at all the issues around electoral justice, including IBC, because of the urgency of the matter.
Other issues that the committee will address include outstanding constitutional matters, such as implementation of 2/3 gender rule, the cost of living, fidelity to political parties and coalitions, entrenching political party funds into the constitution, and the establishment of state offices, among them the official leader of the opposition office, as well as the office of the prime cabinet secretary. The committee is expected to take a break from its sittings next week for members to attend the Africa Climate Summit before resuming the talks on Monday, 11th of September 2023. For Easy Friday, I'm Gladys Mongai.
Right, a few names to mention. Our sign language interpreter is Brian Muraru. Jackie Wambiru will be handling my culture. Betty Kiptum has business later. It's now for time for a well-deserved break. We're back in a moment.
The 9th World Cooperation Industries Expo will be held in Istanbul, Turkey from the 17th to the 21st of September 2023. Join this exciting exhibition to grow your business, trade and network with various businesses all over the world. To register, call or WhatsApp this number.
Cheza Loto Moto. Sasa unaweza jishindia instantly na Loto Moto. Dial star 570 hash. Wakati wowote, siku yoyote ya wiki na mahali popote. Dial star 570 hash. Kisha chagua moja kati ya games za Loto Moto. Weka stakes zako 50 shillings, 300, 500, 2,000 shillings. The bigger your stake, the greater or the bigger your prizes. Cheza mara kadhaa na kumbuka, cheza responsibly. 18 years and above.
Cheza Loto Moto. Wiki hii kwenye mkulima.
Hata shamba lako liwe dogo, bado utapata mapato mazuri. Karoti huchukua muda mfupi kuwa tayari ikilinganishwa na mimea mingine kama vile mahindi na kahawa.
Alafu
wakulima wengi hawajui kwamba wadudu wengi ambao tuko nao ambao wanatusumbua kwenye shamba zetu nyingi zinakuwa attracted na kala. Kwa mfano, hiyo kala yellow ina attract zile white flies.
Basi usikose kujiunga nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel
1. They have existed for hundreds of years, but now they are on the brink of extinction. Uprooted and shipped to unknown lands.
Hata juzi niliona nikiwa pale Mkoroshoni kwa mbuyu na buruto naletwa hapa.
Walituadaa kwa sababu wajua walikuja na lugha tamu.
Please go unheard. Join Sarafina Robi on Sunday, the 3rd of September on KBC Channel 1 on the perils of the baobab.
Welcome back to Easy Friday. A family from Embu is seeking justice following the murder of their kin in Kiharu, Murang'a County. Andrew Njiru Mwangi, who is a teacher, is said to have been battered by two brothers after he mistook their compound for his as he was new in the area. The late Njiru had just been posted to Rutune Primary School as an intern teacher and was supposed to report to work today.
The government, through the Teacher Service Commission, recently employed intern teachers and deployed them to different parts of the country. Andrew Njiru Mwangi was one of them and was supposed to report to Rutune Primary School in Kiharu, Murang'a County today. According to Andrew's father, William Mwangi, his son called him on the first night at the village, informing him that he was stepping out to buy a candle following a blackout. Being new in the area, Njiru is said to have ended up in another home where he was given directions by the owners, but unfortunately ended in another compound. Here, he is said to have been battered by two brothers. The brothers are said to have ignored children who informed them that they knew Njiru, as he had just been posted to Rutune Primary School. After being bundled into a car, his body would later be found dumped in River Sagana.
Mimi asubuhi niliamka tu nikakuja kuchimba kwa samba huku tukiwa na jamaa mwingine. Akaniambia asikia kiu sana, nikamkujia maji. Mimi kuja kufika tu hapa mtoni. Iposa nilipata mwili wa mtu umekwama pale kwa mawe. Kwa jiwe liko hapa. Nikachukua jukumu la kumuita akuje ajione hata yeye. Wakati alifika nikamwambia aharakishe aende aite mzee wa kijiji. Ndio hii mambo ijulikane na serikali. Nisitoka sana kuona mwili kwa maji kwa sababu hata kabla sijaona ni mwili kabisa, nilikuwa nimeona kama ni kiboko. Ndiposa nilikaangalia nikaona akona viatu.
Simu zikapigwa. Watu wakakuja wakaconfirm ni jamaa ambaye alikuwa amekuja hapa kwetu kama mwalimu. Huyo jamaa ni kama alikuja na maji, akakuja akakwama kwa ile mawe unaona pale.
The family of the deceased is now appealing to authorities to ensure those responsible for his death are brought to book. Meanwhile, tension is high in Turkana South following the murder of a student along the Kitale-Lodwar Highway.
Asubuhi area Kainuk tulipata mkasa jana ambao ulisababishwa na majangili ambao walipiga risasi mwanafunzi. Kile kitendo walitenda tunakirahani, sababu ni jambo mbaya, ni watu ambao wanaheshima kwa mambo ya human right.
Nancy Okware, Easy Friday.
Now, Principal Secretary for Water and Sanitation, Dr. Kiprono Rono, has called on locals in Nairobi City to preserve and maintain the current status of the Nairobi River following the ongoing cleaning exercise. Now, speaking during a cleanup exercise at the river, Rono also urged the youth to team up and sustain the exercise. He also urged them to embrace planting and nurturing trees along the river bank.
Early morning at Nairobi River, youth are seen cleaning up the Slick River. The exercise, which was graced by Principal Secretary for Water and Sanitation, Dr. Kiprono Rono, is aimed at reviving the river, which in the recent past has been turned into a dumping site. PS Kiprono promised the youth who have volunteered to clean up the river of monetary and protective gear tokens.
What your green team to do is to plant as many trees as possible and very close.
In their subconscious. This as Principal Secretary of Devolution, Teresi Ambaika, urged the different stakeholders to work together to achieve the joint goal of cleaning up Nairobi rivers.
All of us, if we want to succeed, please, let us not do this thing the same way all the time and expect different results.
Nairobi Rivers Commissioner Mumo Musuva outlined that approximately 22 billion shillings are required to immediately address solid waste, sewerage and industrial waste challenges.
We think we require approximately about 22 billion shillings worth of resources, both in cash and otherwise, in order to tackle these immediate pollution areas, and this is working around those 4 key thematic areas on solid waste, sewerage, industrial waste, and developing the necessary infrastructure.
Nairobi Rivers Commission has issued a clarion call dubbed Let the Rivers Flow in a joint multi-agency operation to clean up Nairobi rivers. Joan Junge for KBC Channel 1.
All right, now the government has kicked off another round of countrywide cash transfer registration exercise through the Inua Jamii program for the vulnerable citizens in a bid to empower them financially. Principal Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs, Joseph Motari, says the exercise targets 500,000 people, with the government spending 26 billion shillings annually through that particular program.
The enlisting of new members under the Inua Jamii program and that targets 500,000 vulnerable citizens has commenced nationally. The move comes after President William Ruto said that the program targets to increase the number of beneficiaries from 1.23 million to 2.5 million. Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs Principal Secretary Joseph Motari, who unveiled the exercise in Nairobi, says the exercise will run for the next 4 weeks.
Ile kitu inahitajika kwa hii registration ama hii usajili kwa wazee ni kitambulisho. Uwe na kitambulisho na umefikisha miaka 70 na kuendelea, alafu na uwe kwamba hupati pension yoyote.
In Laikipia County, area administrators say the county targets 26,000 new members in the fresh cash transfers registration program.
Langu ni kusema kwamba nitoe wito kwa wakaaji wetu ambao wamehitimu waweze kujitokeza wasajiliwe kwa hii mpango wa serikali.
The same exercise resonated at Kago DCC's ground in Embu County, with local leaders faulting the slow pace at which the exercise was being undertaken.
Watu wa serikali matufanyie haraka, ndio kila mtu turundi manyumbani, ndio tukua na furaha.
But you only have one tablet and only 2 officers from your ministry, and we expect this process of registering the vulnerable, registering those who are over 70 years, registering the orphans, to be done in a smooth manner.
And at Kerugoya Stadium in Kirinyaga County, Kirinyaga Central Area Commissioner Nayoma Tobiko said at least 300 new members have been enlisted on the first day of the exercise.
Usipoamua kwenda ujiandikishe, shauri yako. Na hii kitu inakuja mara moja kwa muda mrefu sana. Hii ndio wakati imefunguka, lazima ujiingize. Si ati unangoja tukimaliza kusajili, unaanza kuzunguka maofisi yao kuwasumbua, ati mimi sijasajiliwa na ulikuwa na nafasi hiyo yote.
All right, back to our earlier story on the launch of the e-mobility program. Now the newly introduced electric motorcycles will retail at a market price of 160,000 shillings compared to the initially announced price of 270,000 shillings. President William Ruto, while launching the e-mobility program in Mombasa, further announced a reduction in interest charged on the electric motorcycles for those who will buy on credit from 60% to 10%. Zainab Said has more report.
From his Madaraka Day speech in June, the e-mobility program was just a promise. And Friday, the promise by President William Ruto became a reality, with boda riders now set to enjoy the benefit that comes with operating an electric motorcycle.
As I promised on Madaraka Day, the electric boda with all its benefits was a promise then, it is a reality today.
President Ruto assuring operators of the sustainability, accessibility and affordability of the e-mobility project across the country.
In a year, as I said, we want to have the manufacture of these motorcycles in Kenya for the Kenyan market, for the African market, and indeed for the global market as well.
Touching on the upcoming Africa Climate Summit, the president noted that his government is committed to spearheading the conversation around the reduction of carbon emissions for the benefit of the country, continent, and the world.
Since the first decade of our independence, we have been a consistent champion of the global environmental agenda, and today, environmental diplomacy remains a critical pillar of our foreign policy.
To achieve this, the president has stressed on the need for a public-private partnership that will oversee the transition of close to 2 million boda-boda operators to the e-mobility program. As a boost to fighting climate change through innovation and technology, the president says he is going to ensure sustainability of the program across the country, having already authorized more than 10,000 electric motorcycles to be delivered. Reporting for Easy Friday from Mamangina Waterfront in Mombasa County, I'm Zainab Said.
wote siku yoyote ya wiki na mahali popote. Dial *570#. Kisha chagua moja kati ya games za Loto Moto. Weka stake zako 50 shillings, 300, 500, 2,000 shillings. The bigger your stake, the greater or the bigger your prizes. Cheza mara kadhaa na kumbuka, cheza responsibly. 18 years and above.
Cheza Loto Moto.
The inaugural Africa Climate Summit hosted by the African Union and the Government of Kenya will be held at KICC in Nairobi. The summit will bring together leaders from Africa and beyond to address the growing challenge of climate change and explore opportunities presented by collective climate action globally and in Africa. The summit will take place from the 4th to 6th of September at KICC and will be presided over by His Excellency the President Dr. William Ruto. This event will be live on KBC Channel 1.
As you know, people talk.
Mimi ni Shamsa, mke wa Zito. Zito linambia kuwa hana mke, mimi sitaki kujua.
Kiza Jamal. Shamsa is my wife. Achana naye. Sawa.
Zito kufa kuzikana.
Zuri. Zuri umefanya Zuri.
Back to Easy Friday. Let's focus now on my culture. Over 10,000 members of the Ma community converged at the Sekenani, Narok County, to commemorate the inaugural Ma Cultural Festival. The 4-day festival showcased the Ma culture, as well as serving as a moment to bring all the Ma sub-communities together.
Sekenani Gate, Masai Mara National Reserve, Narok County. Thousands converged for the inaugural Ma Cultural Festival. Pomp and color characterized the 4-day festival. Dubbed Masintayol Keretilang, My Culture, My Heritage, the festival brought together at least 10,000 members from at least 15 Ma communities from Kenya and Tanzania.
It's been exhilarating, it has been an exciting moment, nostalgic. The last time we were together was before we ascended the Kerio Valley, long before even the explorers came. And so, but the culture is amazing, the similarities, the nuances are amazing.
Nachowaambia Wamaasai Kenya wenzangu waishike sana utamaduni wa Maasai, waishike vizuri, kwa sababu mimi nikiwa Tanzania na sisi kama Enabo Shuala Igwana tukiwa Tanzania Ndonyo Rumorwa sisi ndo tunalinda ile moyo wa Maasai.
Inatuunganisha ili tuweze kuwa wahifadhi wa asili, inatuunganisha ili tushiriki mambo ya utalii wa asili ile, lakini pia inaunganisha hata heshima yetu na taratibu zetu zote za kimila katika kabila hili mahali popote tulipo. Kwa hiyo inatuunganisha kama jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki inavyotuunganisha, basi nchi zote hizi hata mila yetu hii inatuunganisha Afrika Mashariki.
Each day focused on showcasing the Maa cultural identity, including traditional regalia, cuisine, kettle, sports, and musical talents. The Maa clans displayed their diverse culture at the festival, which attracted members of the community, tourists, cultural enthusiasts, political, spiritual, and cultural leaders. Spearheaded by Narok, Kajiado and Samburu counties in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage, it attracted communities from Narok Maa clans, including Purko, Loita, Ildamat, Moitanik, Syria and Uasin-Gishu, while Kajiado clans were Matapato, Kaputiei and Kisongo. The Samburu clans included Lodokilani and Lekoluk, as well as the El Chamos from Baringa County and Maasais from neighboring Tanzania.
Wakuzutanisha sisi wote pamoja hapa. Tuweza hata kujuana kwa sababu mara mingi tunaona tunakutana sehemu mbalimbali. Hatujuani kama sisi ni moja. Yaani tuko katika mamfuli moja ya Olma. Lakini siku ya leo tumevunja rekodi ya kujuana. Tumeona El Chamus bado ni kama Samburu. Rendile is just like Samburu. So tumefurahi kuwa hapa.
Na jamii 16 wa Masai. Tangu sisi tukue wadogo mpaka saa hii tujai kutana. Lakini tumefurahia kwa kufika hapa.
Eneo letu la kitamaduni lililoko mkoa wa Kilimanjaro inaitwa Ndonyor Murwak, ndio inatuunganisha Wamasai wote. Ndio tunapofanyia shughuli zetu za kimila, ndivyo tunavyoanza shughuli zetu za rika, kwa sababu sisi tunarika, tunakoo, tuna kila kitu. Kwa hiyo kwa sababu sisi kabila letu hili linatuunganisha pamoja, na ni eneo ambalo tunajifunzia mambo yetu ya kimila, ikiwepo uhifadhi, utalii na heshima na shughuli zote. Hii ni muhimu sana kwetu, na tumekuwa tukifanya bila kuja mkutano wa pamoja. Kila watu wanafanya au tunawalikana wakati wa sherehe hizo za kimila inayotokea huko Ndonyor Murwak. Sasa kwa leo hii nimefurahia baada ya kuja kuungana na Wakenya na Watanzania na kuwa kitu kimoja, ili tuendeleze kizazi hiki kilichopo na tuweze kuandaa pia taifa la kesho, ambayo taifa la kesho linaandaliwa leo.
Held under the narrow Kajiado Economic Bloc NACAIB Summit, the event aimed to showcase the Maa culture, bring members of the community together to promote their cultural practices, incorporate culture into conservation efforts, sensitize on eliminating human-wildlife conflict in conservation areas, as well as increase tourism numbers and boosting revenue in the 3 counties. At the main celebration grounds, different groups kicked off the Maa Music Day as sections of the Maa community displayed their song and dance. This was followed by showcasing the attachment of the Maa community to its cows, dubbed Maa and His Cattle Day, where a livestock auction was held.
Manyata ni pali watu wengi wanaishi. Familia kubwa inaishi na kila mtu wako na nyumba yake, lakini tumesingira vile mnavyoona boma la ng'ombe. Manyumba zinasunguka kama shield ya hiyo ng'ombe, kwa hiyo boma, na kila mama ama familia yote wanaishi kwa hiyo nyumba tuangili wachunge mfigo yao hapo ndani.
On the 3rd day, the Maa Fashion Day was held and the community showcased its dress code for all genders, traditional and sacred ornaments, bracelets, necklaces and headgears.
This initiative
will encourage them, and they will feel empowered because they will have their benefit. They will benefit and build their livelihood.
The main thing is to showcase the dressing within the Ma communities. How do we dress differently? How do we express our identity within the beauty and dressing, the jewelry and the clothes?
Culminating with the sports day that included jumping, javelin, rongo throwing, spear throwing, wrestling, among others, to express how young men pass their leisure time. At the same time, the Ma cuisine was on display, involving slaughtering of bulls and goats, roasting of meat, or to be served to the guests in a traditional style. Adjacent tents were set up where women displayed various cultural artifacts. The Ma community being loaded on culture preservation, with other communities being urged to emulate the same.
This is adding value to Kenya and adding to communities in Africa. And we'll wish if other communities can take this as a best practice, they can do in their own community.
This even as the youth were called upon to embrace their culture.
Walikuwa na utamaduni wao, pengine walisahau tu, na msahau mila ni mtumwa. Kwa hiyo nataka kuambia wasiwe watumwa katika nchi yao, katika jumuiya yetu, na wao waanzishe za kwao, kwa sababu waliachia tu. Na vile sisi tunavyoshika wa kwetu, tunahamasisha na wao washike za kwao, ili kila mtu aweze kuwa na utamaduni wake.
Mila ni kitu ya kudumisha sana. Na kata hakuna, ukienda nje ya mila yako hakuna siku utakumbuka. Lakini ukiwa katika mila ile kuna ile mila nzuri. Tunasema kuna ile desturi nzuri, lakini kule ile nzuri, tudumishe ile nzuri ndio tuweze kukaa katika ile mamfuli yetu ya Alma.
Tukiwacha saa hii culture ipotee, tutakuwa Wamasai wataenda wakififia waishie.
Moving forward, the event will be hosted on a rotational basis by Ma-speaking counties in efforts to preserve and showcase Kenya's diverse culture.
Iendelee na hii, iende tena makaunti yetu Samburu, Kajiado, iende tena kuja kaunti ya Chamus. Sasa tumeshukuru kwa viongozi wetu wenye walitushikanisha hivi. Tumejuana sasa hivi.
They want this thing happen across East Africa, so that it makes the East Africa community agenda alive, and so we'll see if the government can buy it. They can do it maybe in Narok today, Kajiado, Samburu, and then finally they can do the grand one in a place like Arusha.
Reporting from the Masai Mara National Reserve, my name is Jackie Wambiru for My Culture.
All right, that's Jackie Wambiru there in Narok County for the inaugural Ma Cultural Festival. She's always on that beat every Friday, talking about different cultures. It's culture that defines us, so don't miss on that every Friday. It's time to shift gears now. Time for business, and Betty Kiptum. Karibu sana in the studio. Blue looks great on you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. This is not related to business, but September did not come to play. It's already Friday, so you take it away.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, time to now get the latest in the world of business. As he said, my name is Betty Kiptum. Now, Kenya loses up to 20% of investments due to unpredictable tax policies. RSM Chair Ashif Kassam says this is killing investments, urging the government to create a predictable tax environment to spur investments in the country and also boost intra-regional trade.
In April 2023, President William Ruto announced a series of tax and regulatory reforms aimed at improving Kenya's investment climate, including completing Kenya's national tax policy by June 2023 and keeping it in place for a minimum of 3 years.
We are very focused on our individual fiscal and monetary policies to fund our budgets. And the key challenge that we are not talking about is the fiscal indiscipline. And as long as we have fiscal indiscipline within each country, then individual taxes or countrywide taxes become key ways of funding that.
However, the policy is yet to be implemented 3 months after the June 30th timeline. As a result, Kenya is losing investors who are jittery over the unpredictable nature of the tax regime, according to tax and audit firm RSM.
It's only through fiscal consolidation and fiscal discipline that we will be able to rationalize the tax structures across the various countries. And that's one of the key things that we probably need to discuss over the next 2 days, is how to coordinate that approach.
Elsewhere, lack of a harmonized tax regime in the East African community is a major bottleneck to cross-border trade in the region.
It has to be a fair market, whereby every partner state has products and services not only to offer, but also to take. We must be in a win-win business and economic environment.
As government and private sector members converge in Uganda for the second edition of the EAC Business Summit, stakeholders hope that the Technical Working Committee will steer member states to streamlining policies to grow intra-regional trade and help the regional bloc bargain for better trade terms at the global level.
Every African nation should make every effort to reduce at the maximum non-tariff barriers at borders and within nations and regions, to create a conducive environment for business people to trade across borders.
Regina Manyara reporting from Munyonyo, Uganda for KBC Channel 1.
Now, Kenya needs to engage local communities in promoting innovative solutions to counter climate change. Stakeholders at the Kenya Entrepreneurs Conference on Trade and Development say partnerships with local communities will help grow green sustainable business opportunities in the country.
Kenya is making strides in efforts aimed at addressing climate change and enhancing sustainability in the business environment. However, industry players believe sustainable investment opportunities go beyond financial returns, with calls for partnerships with local communities. King Tad founder Sebastian Gida says the government needs to initiate innovative solutions to align capital with meaningful purposes, driving trade and development towards a more equitable and resilient path.
Let's have an implementation plan, because just saying carbon emissions are bad is not enough. We need to say, okay, they're not good, so what can we do and what are the action steps?
Ngida says by channeling capital into businesses and projects committed to sustainable practices, responsible investors actively contribute to trade and development that benefits society and the environment in the long run.
Including the government, and we've seen the government incrementally do a lot of this piece of work, is to give businesses holistic support, where you give them financing, yes, but you also work with them meticulously on the non-financial aspects of business.
Industry players are also championing for the implementation of energy-efficient technologies, which they believe will grow green, sustainable business opportunities. Kenya will be hosting the Africa Climate Summit next week, which will give Kenya the opportunity to catalyze innovation and resilience through international partnerships.
They are about Kenya then, they're about the entire continent, because we're all watching next week. We all want to be part of the conversations and see where can we learn and what can we contribute to this as climate becomes very urgent, right, for all of us on the continent.
Frederick Muki for Easy Friday.
And 3 Kenyans are among the 60 different nationalities of the 400 crew members on board the world's largest floating library, MV Logos Hope Ship, which docked in Mombasa on the 22nd of August 2023. The ship, which has over 5,000 types of books, opens its doors to thousands of visitors and will be in Kenya until the 4th of October.
Kenya Maritime Authority KMA seconded 3 of its staff to the MV Logos ship, the largest floating library in the world, currently in Mombasa. Christine Chiongo, who started a career as the engine cadet in 2016 at Lagos Hope Ship, has been working on this ship in various capacities. She has traveled in various African countries, parts of the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, South America, and the Middle East.
The maritime industry is highly regulated, so there are international standards that are required, that are set for every seafarer around the world. It doesn't matter where they come from. There is a base standard.
Roy Boabi, also from KMA, has been on board the Lagos Hope as a crew member since 2014. He is now challenging investors to purchase more vessels, which can assist the upcoming youths to acquire more job opportunities.
The maritime industry has a lot of opportunities. Kama uko na pesa, unahitaji advice on how to start out, reach out to some of us. We'll tell you how. The maritime, the Kenyan coast, full opportunities. Nunua vessels, people worry about legislation in Kenya. Legislation in Kenya is just about the easiest.
Michael Chalo, who joined KMA in 2016, was inspired by the movie Titanic, which is a ship that sank, and he felt that it could be part of the safety of the industry.
It's good to get the right information. So Kenya Maritime is open, Bandari is open, JKUAT is open. You can always visit us and we can have a chat. You can find mentorship and you can get to know what you want.
KMA also brought together students from various universities undertaking maritime courses for training aboard the ship. Edna Murungi for Easy Friday.
Congratulations to those three who are leading the way or maybe parting the waters for more Kenyans to join the maritime sector. Now, moving on, the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning models in Kenya is still vastly underutilized, especially in the motor vehicle and consumer electronic industries. Renata Walker, product manager at Sama AI, says when the technology is universally accepted and applied in Kenya, it will improve workflow systems and machinery, especially in a tech-driven economy like Kenya.
The 2022 edition of the annual Government Artificial Intelligence Readiness Index, released by Oxford Insights, shows Kenya's overall score of 40.36%, placing it behind Egypt, South Africa, Tunisia and Morocco. The report says Kenya's overall consumption of AI products and services remains nascent.
It's interesting, right? Because when you think about AI, you never know that you want it until you have it and you see how it works, right? So if you think about, for example, face detection, like now you can lock your phones with just recognizing your face right away. It's something that you didn't know you wanted until you had it, right?
AI denotes the concept of development of computing systems capable of performing tasks customarily requiring human assistance, such as decision-making and speech recognition, among others.
Once you start using it, you cannot get enough. And now all the questions that are easy to answer is with ChatGPT. You will use ChatGPT instead of a normal Google search. I think the same goes with all the different models that are being built today. So for example, customers that we work with are really trying to introduce and enhance the uses of vehicles.
In Kenya, even as machine learning gains popularity, experts say the technology has barely scratched the surface.
For things to be gone and done greatly, we need to be a little bit more proactive in the usage of the different AI models. There's no way that you can get a perfect AI model from scratch. So you have to start with something and be accepting of that not being perfect, because it's through iterations that you can get everything to a much better place.
Further, analysts have in the past said that if the correct set of skill base was developed in Kenya, the technology would also come in handy in areas such as boosting education outcomes through personalized learning, disease control and weather forecasting. Alan Auko, Easy Friday.
And Habitat for Humanity International, in partnership with the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company and the Association of Microfinance Institutions of Kenya, have initiated a research report on the systemic barriers to access and usage of housing finance in Kenya. Habitat for Humanity's Africa Area's Vice President Maurice Makolo says the findings will inform critical review and development of strategic short, medium and long-term plans by the various housing stakeholders in order to bridge the funding gap.
High interest rates and high cost of building materials have been listed as the top barriers to accessing housing finance for low and middle-income households. A recently released report by Habitat for Humanity also listed unstable income and lack of collateral as other factors that hinder Kenyans from accessing housing finance. From the survey's sample, 41% of the respondents living in urban areas owned a house. Habitat for Humanity's Africa Area's Vice President Maurice Makolo says the research finding will be instrumental in unlocking new housing finance opportunities for low-income families in Kenya.
The numbers of people that need to be served, that is, those who are, as of now, unserved, falls mostly into that informality characteristic. Has therefore time come to rethink risk management?
The report also recommended interventions that will help it create a solid foundation to build an extensive inclusive house financing system. Ultimately, these findings are expected to positively impact Kenya's housing uptake, promote behavior change with respect to housing finance, and thus significantly increase home ownership.
We are changing the landscape. So when you are thinking about financing, think differently, because this is public money. That's why it is important. We do not have the resources. That's why for us, the housing tax and levy, it's an existential intervention.
The report also recommended increased funding for house finance initiatives, such as providing grants or low-interest loans to financial institutions that provide housing finance.
We require to think differently. We want to partner, and we shall partner. We're already partnering with the banks. We have had various discussions. I like, again, what the Vice President said, because we are duty bearers for the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya are more fundamental, and the people of Kenya, nearest to them, are people who organize them. The people who organize them are the non-state actors.
Nduta Mukami for Easy Friday.
And that's the business this evening on Easy Friday. Sports news is coming up with Bernardo Kumu. My name is Betty Kiptum. Good night.
What's in your kitchen? A show that celebrates Kenyan and African dishes.
Rusha. Wait. Be careful.
Yes, because I've seen some fire jump there.
That is called flambeing.
Flambeing. So tukiona moto tujue ni flambeing. Crushed methi seeds. Kila siku soma kitu mpya. Mchele yetu iko sawa. Hii iko sawa. Tumalize.
Sasa ni kwenda tukule.
Napima.
Hii ni chakula mzuri sana.
Nzito kabisa. Salivate this delicious meal on your screen while taking notes for the recipe. Don't miss what's in your kitchen on KBC.
Anawacha familia yake na wewe unaanza kumkimbilia.
Wacha maneno ishi hapa. Hiyo tabia ametoa wapi?
Alitoa kwako.
It just feels like mimi ndo na force issues. Well, how about to hear from the horse's mouth? The horse is mteja.
I have a business meeting later.
With who? Akituacha to hope ata make the right decision. Is it weird that I just don't trust him? Whatever happens in the dark, we'll see the light of day.
Sijui chenye nafanya Baba Jane kama itaniharibia ndoa yangu ama. Kwani unamwambia kila kitu? Ni mwanamke ni kama DCI.
Don't ask him anything, yeah? Just study him. I've had enough. Marriage should be honored by all.
Kwani mimi nilikuwa nasomea Biblia?
Hi.
Yes, indeed, and welcome to Channel 1 Sports this Easy Friday. I'm Bernard Okumu, and we begin with the Talanta Hela, where President William Ruto on Friday reiterated the government's commitment to providing an enabling infrastructure that will see Kenya host international sporting events. The head of state made the remarks during the official opening of the Talanta Plaza in Nairobi, which will be the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Sports and the Arts headquarters.
President William Ruto noted the opening of the Talanta Plaza is a true testament to his commitment to developing sports and the arts in the country.
The Talanta Hala initiative is a true bottom-up program focused on empowerment,
the creation of opportunities, and the transformation of sports, youth affairs, and arts into a viable vehicle for transforming our country and expanding opportunities for our young people.
The head of state said the government will work closely with the sports ministry to promote different sports in the country.
Through Talanta Hela, we encourage our young people to dream big and pursue their artistic and sporting goals with unwavering determination and renewed urgency.
On his part, Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba said the building will bring together different departments under one roof, making service delivery easier.
All stadia in Kenya had actually been banned by CAF and FIFA. We have moved with haste again to develop a master plan for development of infrastructure, and it's because of that master plan that we have been able to do emergency interventions. Today, Nyayo's National Stadium has been readmitted by CAF and can now host international games.
I think he was very articulate and he mentioned everything. And for the first time, he also owned up and said that he was a volleyballer. And to me, that has motivated not just the Marikia strikers, but also motivated the young men who are, who are on their way to Egypt to play the Continental Championship.
The 16-story building will host the Sports Fund, Sports Federation, and the National Olympic Committee of Kenya offices.
After commissioning the Talanta Plaza, President William Ruto has made his intentions clear that he will do all he can to develop sports in the country. For Easy Friday Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Well, thank you so much, Dan Mwendwa. And still on matters athletes, where Kenyan athletes and sports teams that represented the country recently in various international sporting events were Friday feted by the government during the commissioning of the Talanta Plaza in Nairobi. World 5,000 meters and 1,500 meters champion and record holder Faith Kipyegon and 800 meters world champion Mary Moraa were among the recipients of the cash awards.
We have Faith Kipyegon, who won 2 gold medals.
Faith Kipyegon and Mary Moraa, who won gold at the just concluded World Athletics Championships, led other medalists in being honored by the government today. Kipyegon was awarded 4 million Kenya shillings for winning 2 gold medals in the 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters respectively, while Mary Moraa smiled all the way to the bank with 2 million Kenya shillings. Malkia strikers, who recently were crowned African champions, and the Kenyan volleyball team that participated in the African beach volleyball competition in Tunisia were also feted. Sharon Chepchumba, the Malkia strikers player who plies a trade in Greece, could not hide her excitement after the recognition.
Nikivalia hii flag niko proud sana juu at least I can see the effort that the government is putting in, the people that are supporting sports, both the sponsors and everyone. It's really encouraging to players and also to upcoming players.
President William Ruto assured the country that his government is committed to providing infrastructure that would see Kenya hosting international sporting events.
Every time when our national anthem was played, we felt that we were global leaders in every aspect. And it wasn't me, it wasn't Ababu or any one of us who made that happen. It is you.
The team that participated in the beach games in Tunisia, the team that participated in the Youth Commonwealth Games in Trinidad and Tobago, Malkia strikers are the African champions, as well as the entire team that participated in the just concluded World Athletics Championship were among the teams that were featured today. Reporting for Easy Friday, my name is Isaac Lemoka.
Well, thank you so much, Isaac Lemoka, for that report. And to football now, where Shaban FC was held to a 1-1 draw by Talanta FC in a closely contested Football Kenya Premier League match played at Nyayo National Stadium. Meanwhile, KCB defeated FC Leopards by 1-0 at Kasarani Annex.
Talanta FC scored the opening goal in the second half of the match before Justin Omwando leveled in the additional time. Talanta FC has 3 points while Shabana FC has 2 points. Meanwhile, Derrick Otanga scored the only goal for KCB in an entertaining league match against FC Leopards at Kasarani Stadium. In other matches, Moroni Youth drew 1-1 with Nzoia Sugar. Bandari FC defeated Sofapaka 1-0 while Posta Rangers thrashed Police FC 3-0. On Saturday, Ulinzi Stars will face Gor Mahia, Muranga Seals play Homeboys, while former league leaders Tusker FC meet Kariobangi Sharks. For Easy Friday, I'm Sela Onyango.
Now, the English Premier League Trophy Tour of Kenya kicked off Friday morning in Nairobi. The viewing journey is expected to give fans an exclusive opportunity to witness the cherished Premier League trophy and connect them more closely with the league. The highlight of the event will be its grand showcase tomorrow at the Carnival Grounds. Now, legendary former Nigerian footballer and Super Eagles captain JJ Okocha is accompanying the trophy. Kenya has hosted the Premier League trophy before in previous years, with supporters allowed to view and take photos with the part of popularizing the English top flight, whose teams such as Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester United enjoy following in the country.
We just have to put a plan in place and try to make our leagues more attractive. And once we can achieve that, I have no doubt that our people will fall back to our league.
Once again, Rubis can give good support to this young talent, and they can grow and they can become better. Maybe one day they might go to England.
A newly crowned world champion, Winfred Mutile Yavi, beat Kenyan duo of Beatrice Chepkoech and Faith Cherotich to win the 3,000-meter steeplechase at the Zurich leg of the Diamond League. Meanwhile, world champion Sha'Carri Richardson beat Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Hera to win the women's 100 meters.
Kenyan-born Winfred Mutile Yavi stunned the world record holder Beatrice Chepkoech in the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase and extended the heartbreak for Kenyan at the Diamond League meeting in Zurich, Switzerland. Yavi crossed the line in a time of 9 minutes 0.319 seconds ahead of world record holder Beatrice Chepkoech and world under-20 champion Faith Cherotich, who settled for second and third position respectively. Kenya's Jacqueline Chepkoech finished a distance 12. Meanwhile, Sha'Carri Richardson produced another flawless performance to win the women's 100 meters at Zurich Diamond League. The American clocked 10.88 seconds a week after setting a championship record of 10.65 seconds at the 2023 World Athletic Championship in Budapest, Hungary.
Be close for second and third. No doubt about the winner, 10.88.
Sha'Carri beat Jamaica's Natasha Marison, who finished second, while Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Hera finished third. In the men's 1,500 meters, Kenya's Abel Kipsang finished third in a race won by US Yared Nuguse, while Josh Kerr finished second. Kingori Mwangi, for Easy Friday.
Well, and on that note, report by Kingori Mwangi on how Kenyan athletes did perform the Zurich leg of the Diamond League brings us to the end of tonight's edition of Sports. Back to John Kago to bring the curtains down on the 1st September edition of Easy Friday. I'm Bernardo Kumu. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Bernardo Kumu, for that sporting update. And it's on this particular juncture we wrap up Easy Friday, at least the first part. Coming up next is DJ Cole Jacks jumping up and down. I see you, DJ Cole Jacks. Good to see you. Plenty lined up for disco funk as well. You don't want to miss out on this particular part of the show. On behalf of the team, a whole team behind the scenes, make sure that Easy Friday comes to you live and direct. We want to thank you most sincerely for choosing us tonight. All right, Brian Moraro has been a sign language interpreter. My name is John Kago. Good night, so long. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Sio kwa bidii ni neema tu. Kwa yote
how approachable are our parents? Do you understand the reality of their schools?
And I think now this is where the link between, there's that gap between parents. I don't know if it's because of the generational differences.
It all began with niambie chenye umefanya sita kuchapa.
Okay.
Na ukishamwambia anakuchapa. I think that is where it begins.
So the confidence was lost long time ago.
Yes, at that very point. I feel like this can be a call to everyone out there to stop struggling alone. Whatever it is you're going through, whatever identity crisis, whatever addictions, don't struggle alone. There is always people you can talk to, and it will always help you to